Welcome, everybody. Todd Bowerly here. We are done with our Reprogram Your Mind content and all of the teaching that we had. And I hope you guys really enjoyed and loved the bonus lesson yesterday on the laws of attraction. As I've mentioned, and as you've seen some emails, I want to have some interviews with clients that I've been working with who have some really incredible stories. And the first person that I want to bring on today is Devin. Devin, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate
You're
you
welcome.
scheduling and rescheduling and being able to be here this morning. So,
Happy to be here. Thanks, Todd.
so we started working together back in March of this year, right?
Yes.
What in the world made you want to do this? What was the driving motivator to want to even get coaching?
So, of course, I found you on TikTok, Todd. But this was like a long related situation. I have always been a super upbeat, positive, headstrong into anything that you want to do in life. But just like everybody, life happens. And even though in this program it talks about circumstances don't matter, like you create your own path, let me just go back to before this program. My husband decided to go back to school and become a travel nurse. And when he graduated and we decided to start traveling, I left all that I knew and loved back in Alabama. And so I feel like from that point forward, I almost hit not like a downward spiral, but just like moved further and further away from the person and the identity that I once had before. And just kind of went into this like mental running in a rat wheel, like redundant circle of what am I going to do with my life? And I mean, since then, Todd, I started a dance choreography business with two of my lifelong friends, and that's been very successful. But there was still just something very much missing that I had a hole I kind of needed to fulfill. And every day I would wake up like, what's next? What am I going to do? I'm so confused. What am I going to do with my life and my career? Yada, yada, yada. And then you came across one of my TikTok feeds and you had like the little stick guy and you were talking about, like reprogramming your mind. Yeah, that's him. That's the dude. And like talking about like what you need to do to kind of get out of this, pretty much this hole that I was in. It's like I really related and understood that you were what I needed to get from point A to point B. And so when I say that I just joined. That I only talked to my husband about it and really signed up within a matter of a couple of days. And I just knew that you were who I needed from the start.
I mean, it's not a cheap investment, right? So what in the world made you make a fast decision with what some people might say is a considerable size of money to trust some guy that came across your FYP?
Okay, so for me, I've always known that like investing into yourself to be able to move yourself forward. A lot of people will say, oh, well, I can't because of money and I can't because of this. But if you don't change something that you've been doing, you're never going to figure out and move forward. And I just knew that in the long run, this chunk of money and me giving up certain things in my life for a little while to be able to invest back into myself in the long run, which look at me now, like it will come to fruition. Does that make sense? It's like
so have you made back your investment?
Oh yeah.
How long did it take you to earn back your investment?
Oh my gosh, I started in March and I'm with this new position that's like sometimes I really like pinch me. I mean, I've always made good money with my dance business, but I have to work for it. And even though I have to work for this new job that I've got, it's like more money than I ever, let me put it this way. My husband and I have been really investing into stocks and things like that beyond our investments. And all of my paycheck is just going directly into stocks, if that makes sense, because we can. And it's because we've got the money to do it now. I mean, we've had it before, but this is different. It's like we've doubled, if not tripled, what we're bringing in. And I am proud of myself and grateful for what you've provided for me. And I don't know, you guys, it's like, if I know that it may seem like a large chunk of money right now, and in hindsight, it's really not, like it's really what you think about money. It's your mindset. But if you would give yourself a chance and invest into yourself and think about what that could do for you in the matter of a few months, with me, it's just a few months, like, you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy and grateful that I did this, because now that little sum of money that I thought was maybe so big at the time is like a drop in the water at this point, because you've succeeded and changed what you needed to do to be able to get to where you want to be.
So you're bringing up several questions that I want to ask, but even before I get into some of that, I'm curious, what is the biggest, how would you describe I don't even know how to ask the question. How would you describe your transformation? What has been the biggest pivotal shifts for you in the last couple of months?
I was awesome before we started doing the travel life. And might I add, I'm not a nurse. My husband's the nurse, not me. Okay, that's on a whole different level than me.
Right.
I am so much better than the person that I was before. And that's a lot to say, because I feel like I've rekindled who I was before we started doing the travel nurse life. But I am at so much more ease and making more sound decisions and not overthinking and just kind of like letting go. And that's something that I've learned with you in this program, is like trusting the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, and trusting the process and allowing things to just happen. And you are where you need to be. And that's going to continue pushing you to the next level. And so I just feel like I'm just a lot more grounded in ways that I wasn't before, if that makes sense.
No, that's really powerful. It's really powerful. Now, I remember our first calls, you'd pull out your notebook. I've got my iPad, not a notebook, but you were like, I would look up at your camera and you were like doing this.
Yep.
Furiously writing and taking notes. Not to say that that's good, bad, or otherwise, but how did your approach to the material shift? Because I don't know that I see you as that hyper-focused, copious, furious note taker anymore.
Right.
How did your perception of study change?
So before, and this was kind of how I've always been, and this is where I want to say that I'm so much better than I was before. And I still struggle with it. Like I'm still working on this, even with my current job now. It's like, Devin, slow your roll. Like, you're going to pick this up with time. Give yourself some grace. Is that everything doesn't have to be so perfect. Coming from a person who is a perfectionist with just about everything, I would literally just write so much down and try to take everything in, instead of like giving myself the opportunity of like trusting that a bullet point or two is enough. And with this program, I initially had started out, everything's got to be perfect. I've got to get everything done, and everything's got to be done in a certain way. And as the program went through, it's like I've learned that, okay, it's okay to give myself some grace if there's a day or two that I may not fit everything in, or if I need to kind of like pick things up on another day, as long as I don't fully drop it. But that's kind of like, it's such a beautiful thing, Todd. It's like it's moved into my own life, personal and professional, that I'm just able to just, I've always been able to juggle a lot, but I would do it with so much stress and like would wear it. And now it's like, it's just a little easier. I'm just not as like, so like this. And if something doesn't quite hit the way I expected, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Like, it's okay to have a little bit of grace as you move forward in your day-to-day tasks. And so that's kind of come to fruition in just about everything that I've done, which has been such a beautiful blessing, to say the least.
So let's talk a little bit about your results. Now, I'm aware that you have an NDA with this job, and there are things that you can't necessarily talk about.
Yeah.
But tell us about your goal and how in the world you attracted this position.
Okay. So you guys listen. So
this is a dream job. This is a dream job, right?
Yes. Like, this is something that I never really knew I wanted. Okay. So let me just put this into perspective. My goal card that you and Bob have us do didn't, like, it was known to everybody that I want to be an influencer, right? I've got mine sitting in my phone case. Um, and I still want to be. That's still something that I want to do, but that's not the goal that I had told everybody. My first and foremost goal was for me to find something outside of dance related, because that's what I've been known, what's my identity, that's what I've been and done and been successful for my entire life. I've wanted to get into something that was mine and that I've done on my own, and that I can prove to nobody else but myself that I can do something different than what I've been doing the past decade and a half. And so I decided to leave that to myself, because that's also something that we've learned in this program, that you put out what you want to retrieve. But what I didn't want to retrieve was a bunch of outside influences telling me what I should and shouldn't do, right? Because I value everyone's opinions, but I also have realized through this program that I allow it to affect my circumstances, and I did not want that to happen. So when I finally decided and made that decision, one of like the biggest articles was that decision article that I remember reading, was that I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to figure this out along the way. Did I really know what that was? No. All I knew is that Todd told me to let go and not be so controlling with this, and you are where you need to be, and with time this will come. So y'all, like, I just on my own started applying for jobs. Now, if you talked to me a few months ago, I was the person that said I would never go back to working a 9 to 5 like I did right out of college. I would never put my time into somebody else's time. And here I am going happily to a 9 to 6 job Monday through Friday. And it's something that I never knew I wanted to do, and right now I'm thrilled with it. But it's a job that I landed that is so far off the beaten path, y'all. Like I never thought that this would be where I'm at right now. Okay, and everybody in my life is saying the same thing. They're like, "What do you mean that's what you're doing?" And so I am working as like an estate manager. I can't say much more than that, for a very high up there individual, and I am like managing and doing all of these different things within a household that I am like, don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm learning as I go. And it's been an amazing process, because I'm shockingly really enjoying it. Now, is this going to be what I do for the rest of my life? I don't think so. I think this is part of a plan. I think that these are stepping stones. Something that I've picked up in TIR too is that, you know, like everything is just part of it's like a building block. Everything's part of like your process in life. Yeah. And we're always growing. So as much as I'm loving this job so far and I'm making a ton of money, I'm still got my dance business going and I'm still doing everything that I'm loving. I truly think that this will just be one of those stepping stones to whatever it is that's going to happen next, whenever that will happen.
So tell me, how in the world did you get a job that you have no prior experience for, that you may not even meet the qualifications? How did you do that? Because we're also streaming on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is the job search website, right? So there's a lot of people out there that think you have to have all this kind of experience and all these qualifications, and that dream jobs aren't really possible. You have to go that one step at a time. How in the world did you get this job?
So, you know, along the years of us doing the travel nurse life, I picked up like tutoring jobs for kids and helping families with their kids, because I needed to fill up my time and I really missed being around children. And I think that like when I graduated from college, I ended up like managing Abercrombie and Fitch shops, right? And then I jumped back into the dance industry. But during that time, I built a dance program, managed the dance teams, could juggle a lot at once, and have built successful businesses while helping children gain scholarships to college in the art of dance, but not directly within me in the management of a household. So I think that was part of what allowed me into that. But if you would have asked me this before, I wouldn't have thought that any of that would be part of what would pertain to a job that has a description that's kind of far off what that is, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to explain it. I just started applying for positions that I'm like, maybe, let's go big or go home, maybe. And then I start hearing back from some of these positions, and I'm like, because that wasn't the only job. Like, I was interviewing and had a couple of offers in interviews that I never thought I was. I mean, I'm kind of speechless thinking about it right now. I didn't think that I was fully qualified for, but lo and behold, my past experiences have been enough to gain some insight into what people behind the other side think that I'm capable of doing.
So how closely does this job match what you had written on your goal card?
It was my number one goal. I just wasn't very descriptive on what exactly that was. It was just me. It's almost identical, just without it being so like the particular position that I'm in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, what's been the most important study activity for you to attract this position?
Oh, goodness. Letting go, like allowing the universe, like trusting the process. I am where I need to be. So letting go and letting everything kind of come. Now, listen, there's a fine line, because I think that some people are like, well, letting go, so you just sit and do nothing. I did not do nothing. I just didn't bullet point and plan it and expect things to be exactly the way things need to be. I still did the work.
Right.
I just allowed things to happen and be open-minded to other things. And also, like making a decision, like making a sound decision and sticking to it, have been two of like my biggest takeaways from thinking into results, is like deciding and moving forward with that decision and not backing down, if that makes sense.
No, perfect. What now I've had several people that have asked me, so what percentage of people reach their goals? And I don't know that I've ever gone in and broken that out, but not everybody persists in this material. I mean, life comes up and life happens and life gets in the way. And what do you feel is the difference between well, I don't want to call it success and failure, but success and stumbling, because I guess you're never a failure until you give up. But what's the difference between success in this material and stumbling?
Okay, so y'all, there is a chapter where we talk about something called the terror barrier. And it's like you're working towards what you say you want, and then you hit this wall. It's pretty much, but it goes into like way bigger depth. And what you need to do to keep yourself from the terror barrier and allowing that to like bring you down and start you from square one. And I personally think that that is the difference. I think that when the going gets tough and people don't see a result happen right then and there, yada, 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 they quit. And I will say that is one thing about me. I've never been a quitter. And when I commit to something, I commit. And I think that that is a very important thing to take with life lessons, but also with anything that you're doing, especially this program, is that if you just decide that you're going to drop off because, woe is me, and you make excuses for yourself, well, that's not this program. That's you. That's everything that's going on. Like, you're allowing yourself to fall backwards and not move forward into what you could probably be what's considered greatness if you would just keep pushing forward. So I just say that, like, committing and not allowing yourself to, like, when something gets tough, or maybe you stop doing your program, or you can relate this to working out and eating healthy. It's like, oh, I had a bad day. So then the next day is bad, and then the next week is bad, and then you just, oh, that's it. I've just given up. Well, it's that much harder to get back into what you started. So never allowing yourself to get to the level of where you have to start over again and put all of that extra effort in. Like, even if you have a rough day or something doesn't quite go the way that you planned, you pick yourself up and keep moving forward, even if it's like a small little sliver of something to keep you in that level of forward motion.
When you were chatting in our group on Saturday, you said, I've only had one laser coaching session with Todd, and like, that's all I need. Why is that all that you need? Why have we only really chatted once privately?
Because what you told me, and I can remember it verbatim, about like, Devin, you need to calm down and just allow the flow to happen, and it will happen. Because at this time I was so lost in my own mind about what I wanted to do, and I was so in this, like, I would say it was a negative state of uncertainty and
Yeah, you were
thinking that I
really
would
tied up mentally,
right,
spiritually,
literally, like
energetically.
I say, like a rat running on a wheel. Like I say that, like, as the perfect analogy, like it was a redundant circle to no end. And in these words of, I don't know what to do. And you kept saying, like, you do know, you've just got to allow the faith in the universe and God and let the flow happen and not control it. And I remember you telling me that, and it was enough for me to be like, okay, I've been told this before by my husband and by family members. And and you did say to me, like, you've lost faith in whatever it is that you believe in. And I did. Like, I just was like a lost puppy for a second there. And not like a sad, depressed person, just a person that was so caught up on not knowing that was keeping me at this low level of, I don't know what the hell to do. And so when you told me that, I didn't need any other support from that point. Like, I knew that that was it. I took it to heart, made it a part of like my every single, like, I wrote it on my mirror. I had sticky notes everywhere.
I was going to ask
And
how those words impacted you on a daily basis, because it sounds like it has, because you still say, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a totally different energy, right?
right, right. I now preach this to others that it's going to be okay. It's really, it's a mindset. And when you told me that, it was enough that I didn't need you. Now, if I did need you and I was like uncertain with what you told me, I I would have reached out to you again about it beyond just our calls and things that we do with the team and in our groups. But it was enough for me to be like, all right, Devin, you need to get it together. Like, this is that you, and I believed you. Like I trusted it. I don't know how else to say that. I just didn't need anything more. That was enough for me.
Wow. I mean, you're going to just make me emotional. I've seen a meme that says, when at first you don't succeed, try doing what your life coach told you the first time. And it sounds like you just did that right away. I have just a couple more things to wrap up. Number one, for people that are not seeing success and struggling, your peers that are going through the program right now, what would you say to them to help course correct?
Well, I'm a little harsh sometimes, Todd, because I'm also a former dance coach on a competitive level. So, like, our little group chat that we had started with that March group way back when, people were falling off quickly, like a couple of them were. And I would say, like, y'all, you're not doing the work, because I started noticing a change within myself from the moment that I started. And I just knew that doing the work, whether it's a full 100% level or not, a little something that's part of what's good for your mind that will play into fruition in action every day. Like, if you're doing the work, you're going to see changes happen. Like, and I think that I get a little frustrated sometimes with certain people that I admire within our own group, that they say that, oh, there's all of these excuses, but I just know that they're not doing the work. Like, I just know it, like, because they're not. Because if they were, they wouldn't be where they're at right now. They wouldn't be saying those words. They would be improving oneself, and there would be a difference within their mentality and their emotions every single day, and their actions. Things would be changing. So it's I go back to that same analogy, Todd. It's like, okay, if you're eating right and you're working out and you're committing to something like that, you're going to start seeing some little differences and changes within your body, in your health and your well-being. This is the same exact thing. If you're doing this as food for the mind, you're going to see some changes, whether it's a huge change off the bat for some, or little changes. Like, you're going to wake up feeling different.
Yeah.
And because I know this, because, like, the little bit of time where I maybe fell off just a little bit, like with me starting this job and trying to fit everything in. I still would fit in a little bit here and there, but not as a full frontal. I still felt different doing that little bit, but not quite, because I just started back with chapter 10 yesterday. It's like, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's even better when you're actually like writing your gratitudes and being involved with everything. It's like, that's what I tell everybody, whether you're in this now or you've fallen off or you're thinking of joining, like you do the work, you're going to see results. Like that's just, I'm proof in the pudding right now. So I don't know how else to say it.
Well, what would you say to people that are on the fence, that have, let's say, to people who haven't even booked a call, people that are resistant to book a call, they're already made up their mind out of fear that they can't afford it, or they don't want to be pushed into doing, they don't want to be like sold to do this or have that. People that won't even jump on the call, but are sitting here going, you know what, this has been amazing material, but they don't want to take that next step, even to see if it could work. What would you say to them?
That's a paradigm. That's something we learn in this program, and you laugh about it, but it is, because I didn't know, like I didn't. There's so many things that I say, oh, I couldn't do that. No, that's just a paradigm, because you can if you really wanted to. So I think that if you're on the fence and money and whatever else in your life that you just don't know, there's a reason that you've kind of like wandered into this. And like I think it's important to say that, you know, we have doctors for things. You come to a dance coach like me to help you improve with your skill to be able to compete. Life coaches are something that I think kind of get like nestled into a corner, and people are like, we don't need it. And I'll say this, Todd, I haven't mentioned this before, but I've always wanted, like I've been into Tony Robbins and stuff in years past. I've always wanted a life coach, but a lot of life coaches are like double, triple, quadruple what your fee is. And it's a different process to get certain one-on-ones with people like that. This program, we have you as a life coach, but we also have like a life team. I can't believe I'm saying it like that, but we kind of do, like, where everyone is always there to kind of help each other and keep each other. It's like you're surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded. So, and that's important. I think that's something that I also lost when I left my home state. I left all that I knew and loved with all the support and like-minded individuals every day. And I figured that out through this program too, that like, you need those people that are in the same forward motion, wanting to succeed and move forward in your life so that you can like be better. I know that sounds crazy, but like you're only as successful as the person that's better than you. So I think it's important that like if you're on the fence, that you don't overthink it, that you sign up and give it a chance and allow greatness to happen in your life, because like it's something that maybe you didn't know you needed. I didn't know. Like I really am a positive, upbeat person, and even if I wasn't struggling with something, I would say that this is something that people need. Like it is something that you don't realize that something as simple as like saying what you're grateful for and thinking of a situation in a different light is like could make all the difference.
No, I love
it's that. Something that's like you gotta do it to fully understand, because you don't understand right now. Like it's an ignorant situation, and Bob talks about that. Like what you don't know, you don't know, and so why not broaden what you don't know and like know things to help you move forward. Whether you need something to help or not, you may not even realize you needed it. You know.
So what about people who? So you've been studying this for a long time. Tony Robbins, probably other things, right, as well. This, what would you say to people who have had maybe the same or similar trajectory as you? They've studied things. They think they got the mindset piece nailed down. What did you get from thinking into results in this experience that showed you that you didn't know?
It teaches you how to literally like thinking into results. Every situation in your life, personal, professional, your relationships at home, to everything that you do every day. It teaches you how to handle them and look at them from a different perspective, and how to really think into a result that could be positive, more positive than where you're at right now. And so it's helped me beyond just, professional. Like things that I used to get frustrated with, and I still get frustrated with them, but frustrated with my husband, I look at it in a more lighter perspective because I know how to handle it, or I know how to be a little more open to the way he may have been thinking of it. And I can recognize like other people's, paradigms, and like and where their like block is. It's just a different perspective. Like you're able to adapt differently, and it's a beautiful thing to see, because and sometimes it's a frustrating thing to see at the same time, because it's like all this person needs is just a little bit of thinking into results, and they'll be able to handle it a different way.
Let me ask you, this is this is an odd question for me to ask you, I suppose, but like what's the next level for you now? What do you even think the next level is?
I think that I will double my salary from here, money wise. I think that like sky's the limit in regards to whatever it is that there is for me on a career level. And on a personal level, I just think that my relationships with other people are just going to grow, because I was good before, but I'm great now, if that makes sense. Like I just feel like things are just a little bit better. I don't know how else to say it. And as for like career-wise, I don't know, but I kind of love not knowing now. If you asked me that when I first started, I would have been like, oh my God, I don't know, But I kind of like love embracing the polar opposite of what I ever thought was me not knowing could be exactly what was needed. And I'm loving that. And it takes off a whole, like I am not nearly as stressed out as I once was. Like I would stress about things that I'm like, well, it's fine. Like we're good. So
do you have a new goal?
So I have a goal. I still want to be an influencer, but my influence like is going to be different. You'll start seeing some changes within like my TikToks and things like that, because I think I want to do beyond just dancing, and I want to keep it in there for the fun, but I want to just be more unique and help in a different way, because I'd probably result from this program and mixing it into everyday life. And I just kind of want to grow with where I'm at with this new position and see where it takes me. So I have goals of like moving up the ladder within this position and being open-minded to what could happen after just a year from this like experience.
You know what we need to do? We should do a TikTok live like this sometime on your account and my account to help cross promote you as well. So we'll do this again ish, but maybe differently on TikTok.
Okay.
Last question. I'm a little nervous to ask, but I don't know why this question comes into my mind. And this will be well, hopefully the last one. What support and coaching do you need beyond thinking into results to reach future goals?
I think the consistency, honestly, so in part of like reprogramming your mind, you've got to continue doing the work and continue like showing up. So continuing to do the work, which I think it's fair to say that everybody, it doesn't matter how long you've been into this program or not, that you need the constant reminder, especially during those times where it gets tough, to keep moving forward. And I think for me, one of the biggest, like I was, when I started this job and then I was traveling for work, everything was on fast forward. I would still listen to my program. I wasn't quite writing out everything I was supposed to do. I was just getting by, if that makes sense, but just so I don't fall off. But it was really wonderful to have a phone call from someone on your team, Caroline, just checking in on me. Like, not that I need it, because I was always going to jump back in, but for most, they do need it. But it was still just a really good little happy, like, okay. I mean, like, Todd and everybody is still wanting to know where things are and making sure that I'm still around and not falling off. And so I think that that's important to keep moving forward, is to continue having that support group and that person that keeps pushing you to be better, because you're not just going to stop at the goal that you're at. Like, you want to keep moving forward, and shit's going to happen in life. Sorry, I just cursed, but that life is going to happen. And that was like my first one, I think. First or second, so that's good. Like, life's going to happen and things are going to get tough sometimes, and you're going to have your moments of doubt again. And I think it's fair to say that, like, you need that continuous support and reminder from your coach or your team to, like, keep moving forward in that direction and not fall off.
You know, sometime here after Thanksgiving, schedule a call with me. Let's
Okay.
talk about maybe your second round through TIR,
Okay.
and what that can look like, and then what we can do for greater momentum as well. Because I kind of also feel like beyond this information, like, this program has everything in it, right? There's not a solution or a goal that you can't achieve without it, or
Right.
you know, you don't need anything else. But yeah, let's have a conversation about that. Do you have any
Okay.
final words or anything that you want to share with anybody?
So before I go, because I've got to go to work, got to go to my new job, I just think that if you're a person that's on the fence, I think that you need to just make the sound decision to just move forward, because it's going to change your life. And I remember sitting on the other side, and I had just joined, and hearing from all of the people on your team, Todd, that's been successful, like Heidi and Geraldine and all of them, and thinking, like, that's going to be me. I can't wait to get there, you know? So, and then once you join, upon joining, like, go ahead and have that mentality of, like, that's me. Like, I can't wait, because I did, even through my trials and me, like, being in my head, I just knew that this was it. Like, this was going to be, no matter how long it took me or not, that if I did this, I'm going to be just as successful, if not more successful, as those people that I'm hearing success stories from, and believed it. So if you're on the fence, make the decision to do it, because it's going to change your life. And when you do it, make the decision to really do it and believe that it's going to change, because, like, myself and so many others are living proof, and the ones that aren't quite there yet just need to, like, pick themselves up and do the work. Yeah. And if you're deciding right now, like, this should be that decision for you. It's that simple. We could make it really hard, like I did at first, you know, but, like, it can be that simple, y'all, if you just make it that simple. It's a mindset. So
beautiful. Awesome. Devin, thank you so much. Stay on the line for just a second to chat. Thank you, everybody. If you are considering having a conversation with me, with Carolyn, with Jennifer, please do so. Book a call. Let's have a conversation about it. This is, I mean, it's powerful information. You've heard my story, and I hope hearing from another human being, their journey has just given you some great emotional power to make a decision for you. We'll be back later this afternoon with Josh and Heidi. Thank you so much, everybody.